Afternoon, everybody. How are you doing today? So, have you been to AFSIC? No? Yes. So, if you've been to AFSIC, what is your opinion of the conference? If you're not been to AFSIC, what is your opinion of the, of the conference? Why didn't you go there? So, I just want to give you a quick overview of what I have seen, give you my opinion, and at least I can give you a bit of an idea what went on there, right? So that's why I thought I run this quick conference there because I know there's many things happening, right? But at times I like to pick up a few of those conferences and give you my opinion and give you my gist of it, so you could see whether or not that was interesting for you to attend or not to attend, right? And also understand what happened there, right? Excellent. So this is effectively what we're going to be talking about today. Excellent. So let's carry on. But before I do that, as usual, so let me reintroduce myself. So just in case you still don't know who I am, right? So my name is Tony Chiu. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. Our job is very simple, is to make sure that we demystify the renewable energy sector for you. Yes, we want to make it easy and seamless for you to connect, right? So this is our job, for you to understand what the market is all about. And it's quite interesting for you because if you're an investor and you'll be thinking like, yes, I have money, I have plenty of money, but I don't know where to invest. So obviously by looking at us, following us, you figured out what is the right thing for you to do, right? So if you're a business and you're saying, I like to go green, but I don't necessarily have all the information I need for me to feel comfortable and to do it, right? Or maybe some people are doing some rooftop installation. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. But I'd like to be a little bit more aware so that I can potentially at time challenge what they're saying. Yeah, by just looking at us, you get to know, you get to see this information. Or if you're a professional, you want to jump into the sector, you're attracted by that, but at the same time you're scared because you don't know about it. You don't know if you're going to be making the money. You don't know whether it's worth it. Simple. Just watch us and you make sure that you get all the information that you need, right? So if you don't believe me, just look at any of the videos that we've done, right, and see, because there's many different titles, so different aspect, different angle we're looking at, and you see whether one resonate with you or not. And if you don't like it, right, you can just leave me a comment, right, and you can decide what is good for you and for us. So there are actually 5 platforms we're broadcasting from. So we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, and we have Telegram. You see? So all those platforms. So make sure that you connect at least to one of them, right? Ideally, I wanted to connect to all of them, right? And if you're on YouTube specifically, after you subscribe, press that notification. Why? Simply because when there is a new video, you get informed about this new video, and you can actually follow live, and you can also give me your feedback. That's what I want you to do. Is it correct? Excellent. So only 3 things I'm asking you to do. Number 1, as I say, connect, as I mentioned already. And number 2, let me just move to that very quickly. Leave a comment. Let me know whether you agree, you do not agree, or just give me your viewpoint. What's your opinion about it? Yeah. And also suggest what kind of topic you want us to discuss. Other people have done it already. I'm grateful to them. Maybe you have as well a topic that you want to share. Feel free to do so. I definitely would appreciate that, right? And the last thing is just to share. Is if you happen to watch me just right now, because I know some people are watching me right now, just click on the share button. Why? Simply because there are people like you that like to get the information. They're just not aware that we are providing free information like that, right? So if you want to contribute, that's a quick and easy thing that you can do. You can just share that video, right? Excellent. I got it out of the way now. Let's now talk about the topic, AFSIC. First of all, why am I doing sometimes those quick review of those conferences? By the way, let me first of all say that, yeah, I have not been paid by AFSIC people, not been paid by them, definitely. We were one of the media partner, but I was not involved into the organization, definitely not. So the reason me sharing that is simply because there are few conferences like that we participating in the year, and I like to give my opinion. Obviously, I can't give opinion to all the conferences I'm going to, but some of them, because I believe they are kind of key conferences around in the year. So I like to give an opinion so that people can see whether or not it's important for them to turn up, right? Because I'm sure if you didn't go, you had definitely some good reasons. So if you did go, I don't know whether you were able to to get what you want or not. First of all, before we dive into that, just give you a little tip, right, for people looking at conference. Usually for me, to see what the conference is worth it, you need to have clear idea in mind, clear objective in mind. Why are you going to conference for, right? Do you want to network? So do you just want to get up to speed with what the industry is doing? Or do you just want to have a good time? Or maybe are you speaking? You need to be very clear. And once you're clear about what your objective is, when you go to the conference, make sure that you go after that objective, especially if you paid for that, because you want to make sure that you get value for your money, because that's the best way for you to be able to sit down and say, hey, I did or I did not like this conference, right? This is one thing that I absolutely want to be doing. Yeah. So what is what is your opinion of it? Yeah. So that's what I can say. So let me now move on to. So I've told you why. Obviously, it's good sometimes credits review. Now let me move to the conference. So AFSIC, I consider it as one of the major conference to attend usually in a year, because I'm sure regarding the continent of Africa, there are loads and loads of conference happening, right? So some in Europe, some in Africa, some other part of the world. There's a load of conference, and you can't go to all of them, and you shouldn't go to all of them, because if you go to all of them, I may be questioning, when are you actually working, right? So there's some that I think it's good to go to, or at least consider it, and AFSIC is one of them, right? So, and I went to this one this year, so I had time to observe, and I thought, there's a 5 point that I want to talk to you about, just to give you my opinion about this conference. So the first thing I want to talk about, which is I thought was quite interesting, is the AFSIC app. Yeah, the virtual app, right? Because for me, I came to know that was in the COVID years, right? So because of COVID, we couldn't attend. Actually, last year we had it, but it wasn't that well attended compared to this year. But they created that app, right, in order to connect people virtually, so that people that can't attend in person remotely can connect. And at the time, a lot of other conferences will have done the same, right? And I have to say, I particularly enjoyed that AFSIC app one, and I'll tell you why. I've enjoyed that because it's quite slick and fantastic. So not only, first of all, they're sharing a lot of opportunities people can connect to, but let me share something, and you will see why I actually did like it. So hopefully I'm able to find out where it is. Yeah, just give me a second. I can see agenda. Yes, I have it. There you go. Let me share that. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen many things like that. What I particularly like is the fact that, on the contrary to last year, I wasn't able to attend to many of the conferences because I was very busy. Because I have to say, I didn't attend the full day, both days, right? So I turned up definitely. Attended, yeah, let's say mostly the afternoon in both days, right? So, but the thing is, because I wasn't able to catch the other sessions, what I love about that, it's simply the fact that, when you're looking at the program, you really can actually look at all those sessions, and basically watch them on demand, so you can catch up on what has happened. And that I thought was fantastic. Why? Because I saw the program. There was very interesting, session there. Obviously, I couldn't attend that. My fault. Put my hand up. But I thought the session was quite good, right? I know there was a lot of people that obviously reach out, wanted to have meetings and things like that. So I found it challenging for me to have those meetings. But the fact that I could have those watch those session on demand fairly soon after the conference was actually good, because I know other people are doing it. That's true. Yeah, I run, for example, this guy, so which is Rupert Mackerman. This guy, he's actually there. He watched it very interesting and great. Yeah? So works there.
investment into Africa.
As you can see.
During AFSIC, our objective is to promote Africa's...
Yeah, that's what I love. That platform for me was very, very, very interesting, right? And I enjoyed it. And then and the one first thing I liked about it. So not the only one doing it, but I particularly like it. And I believe it's so advanced and so developed. That's what I heard, that they won an award from Salesforce. So kudos to AFSIC. Again, let me repeat, I'm not here to sell it to you. I've not been paid for that at all. I'm just talking about what I personally enjoy. So if you, in case you disagree, hey, you're free to do so. Yeah, that I thought was very good, and the fact that as well. So yeah, it's a good and strong platform. Yeah, that's fine. So that's the first thing that I liked. So the second thing that I like regarding the conference is the fact that the stakeholders that were actually present there was definitely worth it. I found it, right, because you had a number of African country delegation that were there. So when I looked at that, I counted, probably about 15 of them, which is a good number. Which means that, why is it a good number? Is it a good number because, especially if you're an investor, which is what it's all about. AFSIC is let's say one of the biggest conference for investment in Africa. If an investor, you go in one place, and in that one place you have multiple countries represented, right? So as opposed for you to go around all these countries, you have them all in one go. So it gives you good sense. It allows you to tap into connection and discuss and schedule meeting. That's very, 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 very effective, right? That you definitely want to make sure that you tap into that. And that's probably the reason why you also have people like British International Investment, so which used to be CDC, right? They definitely were there. They were strong investors there. You definitely also have the Department of International Trade, so GIT in the UK. Yeah. So yeah, that's because, like I said, there's a good representation. And also I've talked to a number of delegates. A number of them actually were traveling from far afield, right? So it shows you that, yeah, clearly it's clearly recognized now as one of those conferences where you need to attend. Purely from that point, that means if you were an investor, and I talked to one of them actually, I need to actually send me an email. So I talked to one of them who was actually after investment, right? And I can tell you he was definitely on the lookout, talking to a lot of people, because I've been watching him. And that's what you want to do, right? You want to go there, have place here, a number of investors, and talk to them. Yeah. So it's clearly a platform where you can do it, and I would say it's worth it. Yeah, definitely. That I thought as well was interesting to see. So that's the second point that I did like, with the stakeholder representative. So you had enough representation of countries from Africa. Yeah, I say I've counted at least 15. So that's definitely good enough for me. You definitely have a lot of investors represented, definitely as well there. So there may have been a lot of investors that are kind of based in the UK, representing the UK. That's normal. It was in the UK conference, but good enough for me to be represented. You definitely have a number of people as well that had projects, because they had as well opportunity to pitch in some of the sessions. They had as well some meetings organized. That for me, that was very good. So yes, that I thought was fantastic and great. Yeah. So the third point I want to talk about, it's now moving to sessions. A lot of sessions. Yeah. So brilliant. And I could see that there was a good diversity of sectors, right? So this is the other thing, because we're talking about here investment into Africa. So, and you talked about cross sectors. So a lot of sectors were very well represented. And you definitely have sectors like fintech, right? A guy like me, into renewable, but loving fintech, right? Looking to get more involved into fintech. That's great. Yeah. You have that well represented, and I loved it. And there was also these particular sessions on women. So especially, I think, I don't know exactly the title, but it was something like why Africa should back female entrepreneur, or why investors should back African female entrepreneurs, something like that, right? But it was great, interesting, very, very interesting. It clearly wasn't just a token sessions, because I can't name conferences, but I've been to some conferences. Clearly, it's just a token conference, right? We're going to get a topic, but that one was particularly interesting. I've come to know that the representation of women across the world, the percentage, it's about 49.58, 49.58% of women, yeah, in the world, right? And there was this gentleman, he was called Conley, and it was actually quite interesting when they say that now you can count, pretty much, think of your hands. So the number of sectors where you have that representation of women. So they're clearly about half of the population, but clearly there's only few sectors where you have half of them, or half of the founders, or the top people, the key people are women, right? So that clearly was something very, very telling, yeah, and something that was worth listening to. And also the fact that learning that it's good business to invest into women because they have a better approach to risk than men, right? And also facts showing that business they're investing into are usually well run, successful, and clearly you can make a lot of money with women just because, like I say, they probably a little bit more well rounded, more round, than us we can do. So the take home here for you watching me is to say that if you happen to be a founder or you're setting up a business, because there are a lot of investors out there, backing or looking to back more women, because Katie is one of the cause, right? So better representation and better also investors recruiting women in order for them to be tapping more into female founder. So you may want to make sure that, even strategically, you may want to make sure that you have a female as one of your co-founder. It means that you'll be able to tap now into those female investment, right? So that's maybe a smart move that you might want to take. Hey, it's about understanding how the game works. It's good for you for investment. It's also good for you because that will help you to counterbalance your testosterone. So if you're a man, so investing into women, it's a good thing. And that session was clearly very, very well run. Right, the speakers, they were all brilliant. Yeah, definitely all brilliant. I know one of them, took a picture of the panel. So thank you for that. So I give a little shout out, Dorothy, and I appreciate that. That was great. So, and that was my third point. So the fourth point, yeah, so we're coming closer to the end. The fourth point was another session on renewables, as you'd imagine, right? So I cannot not talk about renewables, right? Let's be serious. So the fourth point was about renewables, and it was a session looking at the rise of renewables, supercharging the rise of renewable. Again, well attended, good session, good speakers. They were very. In fact, the caliber of speaker, I would say as well, was very good. Definitely worth watching, because, as I say again, if you are in the industry and you're looking to reach out to this guy, most of the time it's difficult to do it, right? And all of a sudden, in company like that, you can have access to these people, and it's worth it, right? Because, like I say, after that, it's difficult to get hold of them. And also the personal connection that you make. I know we had COVID, we getting sometimes a little bit too much used to the virtual world, which is good, by the way. I'm not saying it's bad. I personally think that virtual still have a good place, and although many people think otherwise, I personally think the opposite. So, but that personal connections is important. Top caliber people. These are people you struggle to meet. Normally you go to the PA, to the secretary, blah, blah, blah. They're in different part of the world. If you can get hold of them, definitely jump at them, right? So whether they happen to be a company you want to invest into, or maybe an investor you want to talk to, or somebody you want to partner with, definitely very good. So that section on renewables was very good. So I didn't make comments regarding the rise of renewable, just to kind of remind a little bit my colleagues there that when we talk about the rise of renewables, so it's also important to remember that in Africa, for example, renewables been here for ages, and for more than 60 years. In fact, since independence, you heard me say that many times. Look at things like hydro and geothermal, and those are sources that are not intermittent, right? So and they clearly provide base load power. So it's important to remember that, yeah? Because sometimes by not doing it, we get lost in translation. So definitely great session. So that was the fourth. So the final point is obviously the session that I ran. So that I would say it was great. Just a little bit shame that it was towards the end of the second day. Right by then, lots of people have already left, and people as well, they are also they thinking about just wrapping up probably because they're tired and they had an intense 2 days, right? Having said that, the session I thought was quite interesting. I had very good panelists, definitely making top intervention, and I think the public as well enjoyed that. So what did we talk about? We talked about the climate change investment opportunities, right? So yeah, and it was important to remember that. So we talked about the fact that so it's important to have a good approach for energy transition with Africa, because energy access is probably the primary need, but we also need to do energy transition. The two can match together, providing that we know how to approach it. So we definitely talked about the fact that Africa is definitely still a good place to invest. In fact, one thing that we learned, that I learned it, and it's great to say that. In fact, and that was I guess one of the investors saying that there. So the default rate in Africa, apparently it's about 0.83%, just behind the US, which is 0.82%. So that means the perception that people have on Africa, is completely, wrong, other way around. In fact, you may want to make sure that you select the right business, but once you have it in Africa, you're pretty much certain you're going to get your money and you're going to make your money. Yeah, so that was great to learn. Yeah, so definitely is a great place to do business with. We also talked about the fact that we need to have some clear standards that we need to apply to projects so that we can attract a lot more foreign investors, because it's still very much needed. Because from the figures that you guys can find on internet, what you need to know is that we need about $2.8 trillion, you know, for to decarbonize the sector, the economy by 2030. So public sector in Africa, so at the moment pledging 300 million, so it's about 10% of that money, and the rest of 90% should come from private sector. And I guess a lot from that private sector, a lot of them will come from outside. So that means if we need that much money from outside as well, so we got to make sure that we also have standards that will attract this guy. Otherwise, they find it difficult to play ball, right? And we talked as well about the fact that you need new mechanism and blended finance. But if you have to do it, you clearly need to have mechanism to allow public money to properly match with private money, and having done that in symbiosis, right? So yeah, so that is what we talk about, and looking as well as obviously what criteria should be applied to make a project suitable for the Paris Agreement. So it was a very, like I say, very interesting session. I thought all the intervention from the speakers, panelists were great. I just felt a little bit sorry that it wasn't that long, 45 minutes. By the way, all the session were that short. So it means that probably want to have a second round, right? So, and that's what I had to say. So yeah, all in all, it was a great conference. Just one last thing, and that's that's a little criticism. Yeah. So for the organizer to improve on that. Clearly, yes, a good conference. Just deplore the fact that I was surprised when we finished our conference that pretty much everybody was gone, and I didn't see any last session just to wrap up everything, so that people to send off people, in style. So yeah, and I found it a little bit strange and weird, when I came out of the session. So there's a lot less people in the hall, and also the fact that in the hotel, so they were even already packing up, where you see, tidying up things, and I thought that was a little bit weird. But it's almost like people tell you, "Hey, you gotta go now." Yeah, I thought so. For a finishing touch, it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. So if it was me, I think I probably would work that a little bit, right? So rework on it, on that part. Yeah. So that is what I can say. So yeah, that's it. So you have my my feedback about the conference. Hopefully, it gives you an understanding how it was. So hopefully, you decide that you want to attend next time or not. But at least I give you an idea what about it. Yeah, excellent. So now for you. So if you have attended, I want you to tell me what is that you did like or did not like. Yeah. So I'd be happy to hear about that. And also, if if you've listened to what I said, so from those five that I mentioned, so which one do you think was the most important or speak to you the most, right? I talked about the app, if you remember. I talked about the caliber of the stakeholders, that was very represented. That's fine. I talked about the diversity of the sessions, that was multiple sectors represented, and especially talking about, that session on investing into women in Africa, powerful. I talked about the session talking about the rise of renewables, saying that renewables provide baseload power, right? But that session was good because the intervention was actually great, and I finished off talking about the session that I ran was one of the last day, talking about climate change investment opportunities, right? So that's what I say, and I said as well in the end that probably the end, it was a little bit of a missed opportunity because I would have done it slightly differently so that we send off people in style, right? So this is what I say. Hopefully, it gives you a good idea of what happened on AFSIC 2022. So in between, so if you attended before, so definitely make sure that you take advantage of the app because it's super, right? So, and you can definitely find some good opportunity there. That's all I had to say for today. So a pleasure to be working with you as usual. And usually, like I say, may the sun be with you guys. Get better, and I see you on Friday for renewables and money. Don't miss it.